Wondery Plus subscribers can listen to Morbid early and ad-free. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
You're listening to a Morbid Network podcast.
Redacted, Declassified Mysteries is a new podcast hosted by me, Luke LaManna. Each week, I dive into the hidden truths behind the world's most powerful institutions, from covert government experiments to bizarre assassination attempts. Follow Redacted on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, weirdos, I am Ash.
And I'm Elena.
And this is Morbid in the Morning.
It's in the morning.
We even have coffee and everything. I kind of feel like we're on like a talk show.
Yeah, and my mug is a Today Show with Willie Geist mug.
Mine says, "I put a spell on you." It sings it like
it
that.
does. It says it just like that.
My coffee is cold now though, and I just
Mine
took like
is
a
too.
giant gulp to get my like larynx ready for this.
My larynx.
Is that's in your voice
Sure.
canal? I don't know.
Your voice canal, I can't.
I'm just kidding.
cannot.
But I took a big gulp and it was cold.
Mine is too. It's like ice cold. I just took a sip and was like, woo, all right, I'm awake.
It's weird. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but I love iced coffee. But when I take a sip of coffee that's supposed to be hot and it's ice cold, I find it disgusting.
I think everybody can agree with that.
Yeah, that's a weird humanity thing.
It is. Well, it's you weren't intending to have iced coffee, so I didn't intend that.
Set your intentions.
Set your intentions, everybody.
And
For hot coffee.
Tell your coffee what the fuck is up.
Tell your coffee to get with it. Get with it.
Lena's just in a giant white robe right now. And she's
sure
like
am.
leaning back and she goes, "Get with it."
Get with it.
You're just stupid.
I am.
But I love you.
I truly am.
No, you're not at all. It was just like stupid funny. All right.
Oh,
We were
welcome.
we were talking and we were like, what's going on in the true crime world? There's a lot of shit going down. There's like a lot of random headlines and stuff going on.
Yeah.
But it was like everything that's happening, we need to make a full case. So I think we're just going to get right into this.
Because the one thing I like need to hear more about is the Summer Wells case. And every time I check, there's really nothing happening.
Yeah. There's been like a couple small updates, but nothing about where she is.
Yeah. Like basically it's really just the same every single day.
The only thing that we can hope is that because there's really no updates is that they're keeping it quiet and like we always say, like keeping it close to their chest because they're hopefully like close and have some kind of leads.
I hope so, because that case is really, really bumming me out. If you don't know that case, just Google Summer Wells.
Yeah.
And
We also did a Patreon episode.
Yeah, we did a Patreon episode about it, and I think everybody has their opinions on what actually happened here.
Yeah.
But I need answers.
Yeah.
I need answers.
Because there's always three sides to a story.
Yeah.
Yours, mine, and the truth. And I would
Exactly.
really like to know the truth.
I just want to know, and I want her found.
I know she's just
I
like
just
a
want
sweet
her
little
found.
baby.
No matter what needs to happen here. She was only 5 years old. She's this beautiful little thing.
She's so fucking cute.
And it's like, I just want her found. No matter what way it is,
Yeah.
she needs to be found.
And give like at least like any part of the family closure.
Yeah, it's bumming me out.
It's a huge bummer.
But again, there's no update. I keep hoping that someday we're gonna get on here
and be like,
guess what? There's an update. We like, here you go.
And like
But
I want her to be
no.
found alive.
Oh, I would love that. I mean,
Been a very
the
long
odds
time.
of that. It's been weeks and weeks and weeks
I
at
know.
this point.
But you know what's happened? It's happened.
It's happened. That's for sure.
So we'll
but
hold on to that
statistically, it's
small
not
hope.
it's not a great outlook. But we'll maintain hope.
Yeah. Well, with that being said, I think we should just like hop right into today's episode because
Let's do it.
This week I am going to bring you down one of the wildest rabbit holes that we've ever launched ourselves into.
Whoa, you just really sold that.
I sold it and I promise I'm going to deliver.
You gotta bring it.
I'm going to bring it, bitch. So it's like kind of like a case within a case. And in the true crime world, this case is known as the Erdington Murders.
Erdington Murders.
Erdington Murders. Now, Erdington is like a place in in the UK.
Okay.
So I debated.
Okay, UK.
Okay, UK. I debated on telling you right up front the wild similarities between the two cases that we're going to go over, but I think it's going to be more fun to kind of realize them yourself as it unfolds, and then we'll go over them at the end.
Okay.
All right, so let's get into it. The two victims that we're going to cover today are Mary Ashford and Barbara Forrest, and we're going to start with Mary Ashford. I see your face moving over there. I want you to not know this.
I don't think I know it. It feels a little familiar, but it might just be.
When I was reading it, I feel like Mary Ashford feels like a name that you've heard before. Yeah. Well, Mary Ashford was a 20-year-old girl. She was living with her uncle named John Coleman in Erdington in 1817. So
some time ago.
We put you in your time machine and you went all the way back.
I love an 1800s situation.
I know you really do. So mostly everyone in town knew who she was. Everybody in that area knew everybody. It was a working town. And everybody really liked her. On May 26th, which was Whit Monday. Do you know what Whit Monday is?
No, what is it?
I had never heard of it. It's a Pentecostal holiday, and it's to recognize the Holy Ghost's arrival on Jesus's disciples.
Oh.
So I think it's when the Holy Ghost became a thing.
That's intense.
Yeah, it truly is.
I feel like there's days for every step of that situation.
I think there is.
Yeah.
This was a special day, and Mary and her friend named Hannah Cox had plans to go to a dance being held at the Tyburn House, which was a local inn, and it was also known as the 3 Tons Inn. So I don't know if it changed names at some point, but it's known as both.
Okay.
But the dance was to celebrate the holiday. So that morning, Mary dropped a change of clothes off at Hannah's home in Erdington and then made her way to Birmingham to sell some goods at the market.
Okay.
Her uncle that she lived with, she was a maid for him, basically, a housemaid, and she would go to the market and sell his dairy products or anything produce and everything like that.
That fun stuff.
Yeah, she was just selling all the stuff.
Just selling all the stuff.
Selling all the goods that you need to make dinner.
Yeah.
So she spent most of the day there at the market, and then she made her way back to Hannah's house and got there around 6 p.m. They got ready together for the dance, and they were super excited, even though earlier that week, Mary had told Hannah's mother that she, quote, had bad feelings about the week to come.
Ooh.
It was
ominous.
A little premonition. Now, everyone who knew Hannah and Mary, they both were described as being super pretty, outgoing girls. Like I said, everybody pretty much knew Mary. Everybody also knew Hannah because they were sisters.
Okay.
So throughout the night, it wasn't super weird that they danced with a few different suitors.
Suitors.
I love the word suitors. I don't know why. For most of the night, Hannah danced with a man named Benjamin Carter. Now, in some sources, I read that he was her fiance, and then in other sources, I read that he was just a man's.
Oh, wow. So what different ends of the spectrum?
Seriously. I mean,
betrothed or
just
complete
met.
Stranger.
Literally.
Could be the same.
Who knows?
It was the 1800s.
There's a lot of circumstances here where it's it says one thing and it also says 5 other things. Yeah. So I just went with what I saw the most.
1800s.
Yeah. And what I saw the most was that she just met him that night.
Okay, cool.
So she was dancing with Benjamin. And Mary danced with a man named Abraham Thornton.
Oh my God, I love all these people.
The names, right? So around midnight, the 4 of them all left together, but down the line they split up, and you're never supposed to do that. Hannah ended up walking home alone, which is something you're also never supposed to do.
Yeah, don't do that.
Benjamin either went back to the dance or went home, depending on the source you look at. Who knows? 1817. But one thing is for sure, Mary and Abraham stuck together.
Okay.
And when Mary finally got back to Hannah's to change into her work clothes, because remember, all her clothes were at Hannah's house.
Oh, yeah.
She got back at 4 a.m.
Damn.
So she had herself a night.
I didn't know people partied like that in the 1800s.
Neither did I, and I felt so seen. I was like, yes, girl, go to a dance, be young and getting it, and then go to work at 4
and getting it.
I've never gone to work at 4 a.m, but you see what I mean here. But Mary told Hannah that she and Abraham Thornton, it's Thornton.
I keep thinking you're going to say Thornberry.
Oh my God, I want
Nigel
to say Thornberry.
Thornberry or something was part of this.
Yes, Tim Curry was part
That's
of
what
this.
I keep picturing Nigel Thornberry every
Please
time
continue to do so. Please do so.
Please continue to do so.
But Mary told Hannah that she and Abraham Thornton had spent the rest of the night together, but that he was heading back home now. And Hannah said that Mary seemed to be in a pretty good mood, if you know what I mean.
Oh, so she was like Ron Swanson when he wears his red shirt.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
A little something like that. Mary was like in a hurry. I don't know if she was like getting to work or if she was in a hurry to like get some sleep. I don't know what she was up to. She was going to be spending the night at her grandpa's house not far.
Adorable.
So she left quickly after changing. She took her party clothes with her and she was seen walking by a few witnesses. At 4:15 a.m., a man named Joseph Dawson, which I feel like there's always a man named Joseph Dawson in the 1800s.
Oh, yeah.
in
We
your
all
town.
know a man named Joseph Dawson.
I feel like
I
think so.
He's always seen.
And he did. He saw Mary walking.
see?
So he saw her
He
walking.
always knows.
And then 10 minutes later, another man, Thomas Broadhurst, said that he also saw her walking. They said she was walking alone down Bell Lane, which made sense because she had told Hannah she was going to go to her grandfather's house and he lived on Bell Lane.
Okay.
But what was interesting to me was that any witness who saw her between 3 and 4:30 said that she was alone and that she seemed to be in a hurry and was walking very quickly. So nothing obviously seemed to be wrong when she got to Hannah's. Like Hannah said, she was in good spirits and everything. But then it's like those two witnesses that saw her after, like really noted that she was walking quickly and in a hurry. So I'm like,
was she just late for work?
I don't know if she was late for work or then you kind of wonder, like, did she feel like she was being followed?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I initially, my gut feeling was
She's
she was late for work.
All right.
That's what I felt.
Yeah, you never know. But it would be more than 4 hours before Mary was seen again.
Hotshot Australian attorney Nicola Gaba was born into legal royalty. Her specialty? Representing some of the city's most infamous gangland criminals. However, while Nicola held the underworld's darkest secrets, the most dangerous secret was her own.
She's going to all the major groups within Melbourne's underworld, and she's informing on them all.
I'm Marcia Clark, host of the new podcast, Informants Lawyer X. In my long career in criminal justice as a prosecutor and defense attorney, I've seen some crazy cases, and this one belongs right at the top of the list.
She was addicted to the game she had created. She just didn't know how to stop.
Now, through dramatic interviews and access, I'll reveal the truth behind one of the world's most shocking legal scandals. Listen to Informants Lawyer X exclusively on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, and listen to more Exhibit C true crime shows early and ad-free right now.
In a quiet suburb, a community is shattered by the death of a beloved wife and mother. But this tragic loss of life quickly turns into something even darker. Her husband had tried to hire a hitman on the dark web to kill her. And she wasn't the only target. Because buried in the depths of the internet is the kill list, a cache of chilling documents containing names, photos, addresses, and specific instructions for people's murders. This podcast is the true story of how I ended up in a race against time to warn those whose lives were in danger. And it turns out, convincing a total stranger someone wants them dead is not easy. Follow Kill List on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Kill List and more Exhibit C true crime shows like Morbid, early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus. Check out Exhibit C in the Wondery app for all your true crime listening.
So around 8 a.m. on May 27th, in what would be later become Pipe Hayes Park, a factory worker named George Jackson stumbled across a crime scene.
Oh.
Now, a lot of the sources that I saw said that he was actually the one to find Mary's body, but it's not true. That's like falsely reported. Because I found this wicked old newspaper with his testimony in it. And he said that he found the bloody clothing and then went to the nearest house to get help. But he never actually saw the body because he had to get to work. He was like, I had to go.
He's like, I found this bloody clothes, but
I got to clock in.
I can't be late.
I'm sorry.
I was late last week. I'm going to get suspended.
I'm going to get canned, Tom. I'm going to give my family bread.
Yeah,
Come on.
You got to think of number one.
He did. So he had to get to work, but he got some other people and... he was actually on his way to work when he found what was the bonnet, a pair of shoes, and the bundle of clothing belonging to Mary.
And it was bloody.
He looked closer and realized that one of the shoes was covered in blood. Ooh. Now, these were new shoes. Mary had gotten these for the dance.
Oh, that's sad.
Now, when help arrived, Mary Ashford's body was found. She was only 500 yards away from her house. Oh. Like her own house. Her arms were severely bruised, and she was laying in a pool of muddy water. like shallow, muddy water. It was later determined that her cause of death was drowning in the shallow water.
Oh.
And also that she had been assaulted before being killed.
Wow.
Now, so they were able to determine that she drowned because they found duckweeds in her stomach. And I just found that really impressive for 1817.
That is.
I thought that was like really interesting.
Yeah. Look at forensic pathology.
I'm saying. I mean, it quickly goes downhill, but...
Oh, okay. Well, we'll give them that for a second. Here's the shining moment.
You're welcome.
Let's knock you off the pedestal now.
Enjoy that. So quickly, the police found out that the last person Mary had been seen with, other than when she stopped at Hannah's house, was Abraham Thornton.
Oh,
so he was brought...
Okay, you're guilty. Like that's a direct quote, from the transcripts of Anne fucking Putnam.
How do you spell that?
I don't even know. But it wasn't up to me. It was up to George Corwin was the one who had to transcribe it, not me.
That's true.
Or John Corwin, excuse me. But she was found not guilty. And then like that's wild to me that back then that was just like you're found not guilty and someone's like, wait a second, that pisses me off. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's redo this whole
let's find them guilty now and hang them. Right? Like, it's like, this is a person.
I know, it's interesting that they just were like, yeah, let's redo that in like the Rebecca Nurse trial. Because in this one, there was a law that like the family member could be like, no, let's redo it. But it's also like...
But that's almost the same.
It is.
It's like the accused was the one, or the accuser was the afflicted girls, if you will.
Yeah.
Are the ones saying like, I'm pissed about this, so maybe it's the same kind of ruling.
But it's just like that. Obviously, they're going to be pissed about it if it doesn't go their way.
Well, also it was 1692, it wasn't 1800s. So.
Yeah, but I mean, this was
they probably had more lax rules.
Yeah, they probably just didn't have a rule back then.
Like a cow could come in off the street and be like, and
they were like,
"Oh, sorry, we got it wrong.
You're a witch."
Yeah, sorry. We digress.
So they had to have this second trial because William was like, nope, redo.
Oh,
like,
wow.
He put his thing down, flipped it, and reversed it.
I mean, good for him for giving it a shot. I suppose.
Shoot your shot. So 3 months later, on November 17th, 1817, that was when the second trial took place. This time, Lord Ellenborough was the one to oversee the trial. Lord Ellenborough.
Lord Ellenborough.
I'm Lord Ellenborough.
Oh, I like that.
I love it so much. Now, he was the one to oversee the trial, which took place at the Court of the King's Bench.
Hell yeah.
And like in the newspaper, it was like the king versus Mr. Abraham Thornton.
Oh, I love that. Because that's always like, like this person versus the crown.
Yeah.
Like in Canada and shit.
Yep.
Like, that's really cool.
I love it.
I don't know why I love it.
I think it's cool because that doesn't happen here.
No, it doesn't.
Now, are you ready for this jelly?
I'm ready.
Abraham Thornton had had enough of this bullshit, and he was ready to prove his innocence on his own. And he said to Lord Ellenborough, he said, I am not guilty, and I will defend myself with my body.
With my body?
He also, at that same time, allegedly put a leather glove over his head as a throwing of the gauntlet. But what did that mean exactly? Abraham Thornton was requesting a trial by motherfucking battle, bitch.
Hell yeah. I was just going to say, please tell me it's a duel.
He was requesting trial by battle. Now, even better, Lord Ellenborough was allowing it. He was like, let's do this.
Oh my God, I love this. This is so Game of Thrones. It's my favorite.
I literally said that later.
Literally Game of Thrones.
It is. So the case actually made legal history because trials by battle, like, they don't even know if they actually ever happened before this.
Wow.
Like, other than, like, in the medieval times. But they definitely stopped happening, like, a long time before 1817. Yeah. Now, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, essentially what this man's was proposing was that he and William Ashford fight to the death or until one of them was no longer able to fight.
And then the person standing wins.
So if William was able to incapacitate Thornton, then he would be held responsible for the murder and be hanged. And if not, he would have to incapacitate William to walk free.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love
trial by battle.
A trial by battle.
I also don't really know about the whole leather glove over his head. I saw that in one source, but I had to throw it in there because it's like, what if that happened? I hope so.
If he took a leather glove and was just like, whack.
No, he put it over his head.
Oh, he put a glove over his head?
Actually, maybe it was like the thing that you just said, like he raised it over his head and then he whacked it. I was thinking that he put it over his whole ass head. It's good that I have you to walk me through life, huh? Well, shit.
And he would just take a second, like really stretch it over his head.
That's literally what I was picturing.
Like someone stretching like a balloon over there. It's just like,
I don't know what it is.
Like, battle.
I I will defend myself with my body.
I took it as taking it, like throwing it over his head and like throwing it on a table.
Yeah, because that's like throwing the gauntlet.
Like-
Yeah, you get it. It's fine. Elena had to explain a lot of Game of Thrones to me as well, so whatever. Now, so are we gonna have this trial by battle? What do you think?
God, I hope so.
I wish. William Ashford was like, literally go fuck yourself.
I mean, I would too. I'd be like,
I'm not doing that.
No.
He was vehemently opposed to this whole trial by combat thing, and he refused to take part in this tomfoolery. Now, I don't know if it was like that the idea was like so preposterous to him, and that's why he didn't go for it. Like, he was like, that's not a thing. We don't do that.
we don't do trial by combat.
Like, we don't do that anymore. Or if it had something to do with Thornton's size, because I couldn't find much to describe William's build, but Thornton was described as over 6 feet tall and thick. Like, they literally described him as thick, like, in 1800s newspapers.
Awesome.
Like, actually. Every source that I read referred to him as having thick features. They said that he had legs like tree trunks and a very large neck.
Oh, shit.
They also described him when he, like, appeared in court for the first time, and they were like, he had become, they used a different word for, like...
He's like a behemoth.
Like, basically, like, they were like, he had become very large.
So he's not Nigel Thornberry.
No, he's
in fact the opposite
He's
of Nigel
literally
Thornberry.
the Hulk. So,
I suppose William was probably like, A,
I'll lose.
This is stupid.
Yep.
And B, you're gigantic and I'll just lose.
Right.
Like, there's really no...
well, then also, like, my parents will have lost 2 children.
Exactly.
Like,
Like,
that's
this is
fucked up.
not going to happen.
So when William denied the trial by combat idea, the decision then went back to Lord Ellenborough, who said that Abraham Thornton was free to go. He was not guilty of the murder of Mary Ashford.
Wow.
So basically, like, William just, like, forfeited, and then because of that, Thornton was able to walk free.
Which is scary, because now he's, like, shown his cards to...
Well, and it's like, what if
Thornberry there? Like, what if
Right.
because now he's being like, I wanted you hanged, and I
Right.
tried to get you hanged again, but now you get to walk free and just walk among me.
And, like, what if you did actually kill my sister?
One, you're pissed because I tried to get you hanged when you were found not guilty first.
Yup.
And if you did kill my sister, I have just accused you of that again. So it's like, whoa.
Well, shit.
I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to move.
I'm going to get out of here.
I don't want to live here.
Funny you say that. But before we get there, Ellenborough received a lot of criticism for not only letting Thornton off, but also entertaining the idea of a trial by combat. Everyone was like, are you good, sir? Like, we can't do that anymore.
He's Littlefinger, I feel.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
He just wanted it for his entertainment. But to this day, no other person has been tried for Mary's murder, and there were really no other suspects.
Wow.
Now, while Thornton was still alive, he also faced a lot of criticism in the community, and eventually things got so bad for him that he had to move to America.
Wow.
And it took him 2 attempts to do that, actually. The first time that he tried to get on a ship with other men sailing to America, they found out who he was, and they were like, get the fuck off this ship.
Oh,
like, you are
shit.
not coming anywhere with us.
My ship.
Get the fuck off my ship.
Get off.
Thank you. This is my daddy's yacht. I'm just kidding. They were like, no, you can't come with us.
Okay, you're guilty. Like that's a direct quote, like from the transcripts of Anne Putnam.
How do you spell that?
I don't even know. But it wasn't up to me. It was up to George Corwin was the one who had to transcribe it, not me.
That's true.
Or John Corwin, excuse me. But yeah, she was found not guilty, and then like that's wild to me that back then that was just like you're found not guilty, and someo's like, wait a second, that pisses me off, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, let's redo this whole
let's
thing.
find them guilty now and hang them.
Right?
Like, it's like this is a person.
I know, it's interesting that they just were like, yeah, let's redo that in like the Rebecca Nurse trial, because in this one there was a law that like the family member could be like, no, let's redo it. But it's also like,
but that's almost the same.
It is.
It's like the accused was
Right.
the one, or the accuser was the afflicted girls, if you will.
Yeah.
Are the ones saying like, I'm pissed about this. So
Right.
maybe it's the same kind of ruling.
but it's just like that. Obviously, they're going to be pissed about it if it doesn't go their way.
Well,
you know?
also it was 1692. It wasn't 1800s. So.
yeah, but I mean, this was
They probably had
1800s.
more lax rules.
Yeah, they probably just didn't have a rule back then.
like a cow could come in off the street and be like, "Rrr,"
They'd
and
be
they were
like,
like,
guilty.
"Oh, sorry, we got it wrong."
You're a witch.
Yeah, sorry. We
So
digress.
they had to have this second trial because William was like, nope, redo.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
he put his thing down, flipped it, and reversed it.
I mean, good for him for giving it a shot. I
Yeah, you know,
suppose.
shoot your shot. So 3 months later, on November 17th, 1817, that was when the second trial took place. This time, Lord Ellenborough was the one to oversee the
Ooh.
trial. Lord Ellenborough.
Lord Ellenborough.
I'm Lord Ellenborough.
Oh, I like that.
I love it so much. Now, he was the one to oversee the trial, which took place at the Court of the King's Bench.
Hell yeah, dude.
And like in the newspaper, it was like the king versus Mr. Abraham Thornton.
Oh, I love that. Because that's always like, like this person versus the crown.
Yeah.
Like in Canada.
Yep.
Like, that's really cool.
I love it.
I don't know why I love it.
I think it's cool because that doesn't happen here.
No, it doesn't.
Now, are you ready for this jelly?
I'm ready.
Abraham Thornton had had enough of this, and he was ready to prove his innocence on his own. And he said to Lord Ellenborough, he said, I am not guilty, and I will defend myself with my body.
With my body?
He also, at that same time, allegedly put a leather glove over his head as a throwing of the gauntlet. But what did that mean exactly? Abraham Thornton was requesting a trial by battle.
Hell yeah. I was just going to say, please tell me it's a duel.
He was requesting a trial by battle. Now, even better, Lord Ellenborough was allowing it. He was like, let's do this.
Oh my God, I love this. This is so Game of Thrones. It's my favorite.
I literally said that later.
Literally Game of Thrones.
It is. So the case actually made legal history because trials by battle, like, they don't even know if they actually ever happened before this.
Wow.
Like, other than, like, in the medieval times. But they definitely stopped happening, like, a long time before 1817. Yeah. Now, if you haven't seen Game of Thrones, essentially what this man's was proposing was that he and William Ashford fight to the death or until one of them was no longer able to fight.
And then the person standing wins.
So if William was able to incapacitate Thornton, then he would be held responsible for the murder and be hanged. And if not, he would have to incapacitate William to walk free.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love
trial by battle.
A trial by battle.
I also don't really know about the whole leather glove over his head. I saw that in one source, but I had to throw it in there because it's like, what if that happened? I hope so.
If he took a leather glove and was just like, whack.
No, he put it over his head.
Oh, he put a glove over his head?
Actually, maybe it was like the thing that you just said, like he raised it over his head and then he whacked it. I was thinking that he put it over his whole ass head. It's good that I have you to walk me through life, huh? Well,
and he would just take a second, like really stretch it over his head.
That's literally what I was picturing.
Like someone stretching like a balloon over there. It's just like,
I don't know what it is.
Like, battle.
I will defend myself with my body.
I took it as taking it, like throwing it over his head and like throwing it on a table.
Yeah, because that's like throwing the gauntlet. Like, yeah, you get it. It's fine. Elena had to explain a lot of Game of Thrones to me as well, so whatever. Now, so are we going to have this trial by battle? What do you think?
I hope so.
I wish. William Ashford was like, literally go for yourself.
I mean, I would too. I'd be like,
I'm not doing that.
No.
He was vehemently opposed to this whole trial by combat thing, and he refused to take part in this tomfoolery. Now, I don't know if it was like that the idea was like so preposterous to him, and that's why he didn't go for it. Like, he was like, that's not a thing. We don't do that.
We don't do trial by combat.
Like, we don't do that anymore. Or if it had something to do with Thornton's size, because I couldn't find much to describe William's build, but Thornton was described as over 6 feet tall and thick. Like, they literally described him as thick, like, in 1800s newspapers. Awesome. Like, actually, every source that I read referred to him as having thick features. They said that he had legs like tree trunks and a very large neck. They also described him when he, like, appeared in court for the first time, and they were like, they used a different word for, like...
He's like a behemoth.
Like, basically, like, they were like, he had become very large.
So he's not Nigel Thornberry.
No, he's
in fact the opposite.
He's
Nigel
literally
Thornberry.
the Hulk.
So, I suppose William was probably like, A,
I'll lose.
This is stupid. Yep. And B, you're gigantic and I'll just lose. So,
right.
Like, there's really no...
Well, then also, like, my parents will have lost 2 children.
Exactly.
Like,
this is not going to happen.
So when William denied the trial by combat idea, the decision then went back to Lord Ellenborough, who said that Abraham Thornton was free to go. He was not guilty of the murder of Mary Ashford.
Wow.
So basically, like, William just, like, forfeited, and then because of that, Thornton was able to walk free.
Which is scary, because now he's, like, shown his cards to...
Well, and it's like,
Thornberry
what if he...
there? Like, what if
right.
because now he's being like, I wanted you hanged, and I tried to get you hanged again, but now you get to walk free and just walk among me.
And, like, what if you did actually kill my sister?
One, you're pissed, because I tried to get you hanged when you were found not guilty first. Yep. And if you did kill my sister, I have just accused you of that again. So it's like... Whoa.
Well,
I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to move.
I'm going to get out of here.
I don't want to live here.
Funny you say that. But before we get there, Ellenborough received a lot of criticism for not only letting Thornton off, but also entertaining the idea of a trial by combat. Everyone was like, are you good, sir? Like, we can't do that anymore.
He's Littlefinger, I feel.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
He just wanted it for his entertainment. Yeah. But to this day, no other person has been tried for Mary's murder, and there were really no other suspects.
Wow.
Now, while Thornton was still alive, he also faced a lot of criticism in the community, and eventually things got so bad for him that he had to move to America.
Wow.
And it took him 2 attempts to do that, actually. The first time that he tried to get on a ship with other men sailing to America, they found out who he was, and they were like, get off this ship. You are not coming anywhere with us.
My ship.
Get off my ship.
Get off.
Thank you. This is my daddy's yacht. I'm just kidding. They were like, no, you can't come with us.
You can't sail with us.
You can't sail with us. You can't sail with us. And yeah, but then the second time he apparently was able to get away. And apparently he lived like a really great life in America. He became like prosperous here.
Yeah, live the American dream, man.
Yeah, and he like got married and like I think he might have had kids.
Wow.
So like that's good if he isn't a murderer, but if he did, then I hope he stubs his toe every day in the afterlife.
Yeah, that sucks.
And then some.
I'm hoping that he was innocent. I mean, that sucks that he got like run out of his home, but like he seemed to have thrived here. So if he was innocent, like good for him. And if not, that's the worst.
Yeah, then like go for yourself.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
So I told you there were 2 murders, so we're going to have to move to the second one. So we're going to move to Barbara Forrest. Barbara was born to parents Gordon and Margaret. In 1974, she was 20 years old, and she was working as... In some sources, it said that she was working as a nurse at the Pipe Hayes Children Home. And then in other sources, it said that she was kind of like almost working like as a DCF worker is what you would say now. Okay. She was like a
social worker?
A social worker, exactly. So I don't know if maybe she was doing both.
Okay. Working with children, probably.
Working with children no matter what. Okay. It's interesting because it was so much easier to find information about the 1817 case than the 1974
That's
case.
funny.
Like even on like the newspaper archives and everything, I was like, but where did all the info go?
You're like, why do I know more about the 1800s?
I'm confused. So just like Mary Ashford, she also had an uneasy feeling leading up to her murder. And she told a coworker just 10 days before she was killed, "This is going to be my unlucky month. I just know it. Don't ask me why."
Ooh.
Isn't that so strange?
Why did that happen to both of them?
Oh, just wait, girl.
The universe.
The universe is wildin'. So sadly, Barbara was right. In the early morning hours of May 27th, the same day that Mary Ashford was killed, and on the same holiday, which, by the way, that falls on a different day every year, but it just so happens that it fell on the same day this year.
What?
The year that this happened. So in the early morning hours on May 27th, this time 157 years later in 1974, Barbara Forrest was found raped and strangled.
Wow.
Her body was left in a ditch in Pipe Hayes Park and wasn't found until a week later on June 4th. She was discovered half naked and buried with brush and bracken. The site where Barbara's body was found was only 300 feet away from where Mary Ashford's body had been discovered.
What?
Yup. Barbara's mother said of her, "She was a wonderful girl. This is the sort of thing you hear about happening and you never think can happen to you."
Oh, like, whenever somebody says that, you're like, it's so true.
Because it
like,
makes
that
it
always
so
hits.
real.
Because everybody thinks that. It
Of
can't
course.
happen to me. I'm just going to read about it. It's not. Oh, that sucks.
It's so sad. So the last anyone knew, Barbara was out with her boyfriend, Simon Belcher. Barbara was described as devoutly religious, and she and her boyfriend, Simon, were both members of the St. Mark's Lutheran Church. And actually, the night before she was killed, on May 26th, Simon and Barbara held the church services together that night. Simon was actually filling in for his father, Peter Belcher, who was the church's usual minister. So they led the services together. And after they finished the services, they decided to go to a couple of pubs and just kind of have like a night out together.
Yeah.
So they went to a few pubs near the center of town and they finished up the night dancing.
Wow.
They went dancing. Then they decided to wrap the night up at about 1 a.m. Simon walked Barbara to the bus stop at Colmore Circle, and that was the last time he would ever see her. The next day was a holiday, Whit Monday, so Barbara didn't have to go into work. But on Tuesday, she didn't show up for work, and her coworkers were really concerned because she was not the kind of girl that would just not show up or not call. So they called her family, who quickly got into contact with the police, and they were able to file a missing persons report. Now, in the week it took to find Barbara, there were tons of flyers hung up in the area of her. Her friends and family and the congregation that she belonged to were passing out pamphlets describing who she was, what she'd been wearing, like just any general information about her. But for a whole 8 days, there was no leads whatsoever. Nobody knew what happened to her. Now, if Barbara had gotten on the bus that she was supposed to, it would have been bus number 67. But no one on that specific bus remembered her even being on board that night. So all these theories started to run wild. Some people claimed that they saw Barbara after 1 a.m. that morning, but that only made the investigation more difficult because, like, most people were like, no, we didn't see her after 1 a.m. But then there was, like, a few people that were like, I definitely did.
Oh, eyewitnesses, man.
The worst. Now, people thought it could have been possible that maybe she hitched a ride with someone she knew after Simon dropped her off, or maybe that she had been on the bus and, like, maybe just nobody was paying attention. And when she had gotten off, someone had gotten a hold of her.
Okay.
Because it would have taken her the bus ride and then a short 10-minute walk to get home. Now, she lived really close to the Pipe Hayes Park where her body was found, and it was really close to her work as well. And like I said, she would have had that 10-minute walk home.
Yeah.
So a witness actually came forward and told police that they saw a blue car parked near the park in the area close to where Barbara's body was discovered and close by her home and her work.
Okay.
So they have like a weird vehicle sighting.
Yeah.
And they assumed that whoever did this to Barbara had snuck up on her, just like Mary, and had caught her off guard somehow. And they said they probably used some of the low-hanging trees to hide under before like jumping out and snatching her. So it does make sense that maybe she was on the bus and no one saw her, and in the 10-minute walk to get home, that's when she...
Okay, yeah.
Because it just makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Like distance and area-wise.
Yeah.
So just thinking of somebody using the trees to hide under and just jump out and snatch you is like really terrifying.
No, I hate the thought of somebody hiding in the trees.
No, I hate
the
it.
Low-hanging trees.
I hate it very, very much.
I hate that.
So they actually had one of their female officers, Linda Madison, dress in clothes similar to the ones that Barbara was wearing when she went missing, and they created an entire reconstruction of the night because they were just grasping at straws in this investigation. They had
I love when
nothing.
they do this.
I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, they've done this in a few different cases we've covered, and it's always like, I'm like, yeah, extra.
Right.
I love that.
Exactly. Now, over 100 detectives worked on Barbara's case, and the investigation was led by Detective Superintendent Mick Lenahan. In addition to the reconstruction that they did, they were also doing door-to-door inquiries. They were interviewing anyone they had that they knew took that bus that night, or just anyone that was known to be in the area. Now, the boyfriend, Simon Belcher, was quickly ruled out as a suspect. It just, like, he didn't fit the bill and he had an alibi. And it took some time, but eventually by September, investigators narrowed in on a man named Michael Ian Thornton.
Stop.
157 years later, this girl's, like, I literally can't.
What?
Yes, Thornton. And weirdly enough,
it's not like, what?
I was looking on like to like any website to find out if it's a super common last name. And from what I saw, people were like, it's not. It's like
it's not like overly common. Like,
right,
it's not
exactly.
Like Smith.
Exactly.
You know,
or like
not,
Green.
Yeah.
You know?
Whoa.
It's not an overly common last name, even over there.
That's wild.
And weirdly enough, they weren't even related. Like people have tried to like look into the genealogy of it and they're not related.
Wow.
Crazy. So Michael and Barbara actually worked together at the same children's home, and he lived on Chester Road, which was not far from where her body was found. And actually, Mary had been spotted on Chester Road earlier the night that she went missing.
Wow.
So they were literally walking like the same roads.
That's nuts.
Now, Michael had been found with blood-stained pants, and his alibi was not exactly airtight. I couldn't find out exactly what his alibi was, but later on in the investigation, they learned that he actually didn't have an alibi and that his mother lied for him.
Oh.
Like, she was like, oh, yeah, like, she corroborated his alibi.
But she was just lying.
I don't know why I keep saying ally about
his
alibi. About his alibi, but she was totally lying.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So he was charged with Barbara's murder and he was set to stand trial. Now, the trial lasted a week, and Justice Croom Johnson, just like the original judge in Mary Ashford's murder case, reminded the jury that the evidence in the case was purely circumstantial.
Stop.
Now,
Someone please suggest a trial by combat.
It didn't happen. I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
I regret to inform you. They came back with a not guilty verdict. which is crazy. But it's
man.
they didn't have any
Yeah.
DNA or anything like that back then. So that was devastating for Barbara's family. And Michael Thornton said of the whole debacle, quote, "It's been very hard going on for the past 7 months. I knew I was innocent all along." Which is of course you did. If you didn't kill someone, you would know that all along.
Of course.
But I don't know.
He's like, I never doubted myself for a moment.
I'm like, that's good. Now, it's interesting that in Mary Ashford's case, her brother was the one that was so outraged, because it's just another way that these two cases mirror each other. Because Barbara's sister, Erica, is not so convinced that everyone did their job properly, or is giving her sister's case the attention that it deserves. Now, in 2012, she requested that the case be reopened and that DNA evidence be brought into review.
Yeah, because I'm sure they took some kind of evidence. They just couldn't do anything with it then.
So the police came out with a statement saying that there was, quote, "no further forensic opportunities to explore."
What?
And Erica was like, that's I know that you took samples.
There was
so
blood
where
on
the are they?
clothes.
There was blood on his clothes. And she said she remembered them taking samples. She remembers DNA samples being a thing.
Of course.
And then she was like, so did they get lost? And no one will comment on whether or not they've been lost.
That story of it, we lost evidence, is so old.
It's also how the f do you lose
Stop
evidence?
losing evidence. It's the one thing in the world you shouldn't lose, man. That and your children. Don't lose any of that.
That too.
What, how are you losing evidence?
There's a whole place for it.
There's a literal chain of custody for evidence.
Yes.
You have to know where it is at every step of the way.
Yeah, literally.
So where are we breaking all this chain of custody? I don't understand.
It's one of those things, and I feel like whenever evidence is lost, it always makes you look into that department, because you're like, why'd you lose that?
Yeah, it's because it never makes them look good. It always makes you look shady.
Never, ever.
For example, the West Memphis Police Department losing the evidence got burnt in a fire.
Yup.
The evidence that could potentially finally acquit them completely.
Lost in a fire.
Lost in a
Meanwhile,
fire.
there's no fire on
Meanwhile,
record.
the fire department is yeah, there was no fire.
Imagine you say that, and then the fire department is like, yo, you're on
And
your
the fire
own.
department's like, we're not helping you.
Nah.
No.
Imagine.
Yeah, that is pissing me off. We'll definitely do an episode about that.
I'm actually really excited
because I'm
about
very
that.
angry about it.
I don't blame you. We should do. That'd be a great episode.
I'm infuriated by the West Memphis 3 case.
It's really infuriating.
And it should infuriate everybody.
It should. Okay, so she was like, no, where is the DNA? Where did it go?
Yeah.
Now, in addition to the possibility of lost DNA samples, it took them, this just happens, but I just feel bad for how this family was treated. It took them 4 weeks to get her body back.
Wow.
So it's it took 4 weeks to get her back, and now you're saying you don't have any DNA. So what were we waiting for?
Yeah, what was 4 weeks?
And then the family thought that it was possible that Barbara's personal belongings that were either found on her body or near her have also been misplaced.
Yeah.
Because when they were told that there were no other forensic opportunities to explore, they were like, okay, so they kind of just accepted that this wasn't going to get solved.
Of course, because you don't think you can fight that.
Right. So they said, can we have the jewelry back? Because the jewelry was really special for their family.
Yeah.
It had been gifted to Barbara by her godparents. And
Yeah,
it was
it's
just really
something
meaningful.
of hers.
And it's something to remember her by. And they also asked if they could have her handbag. So they were constantly ignored when they asked those questions, or they were just given a go-round, to the point that they actually had a newspaper, the Sunday Mercury, try to reach out as well. Now, the Sunday Mercury was told that the police could neither confirm nor deny that Barbara's personal belongings had been misplaced.
That's shameful.
So you're literally
That's fucking
telling
shameful.
this family, maybe
That's
we have them,
Literally shameful.
maybe not.
Gross.
And when you're saying I can neither confirm nor deny,
so you're saying that it's lost.
you're saying you don't have it. Don't say maybe. Come on and say it.
Okay, coward. Why
It's
don't
so
you
sad.
just say it?
And at that point, in 2012, her father, I think, was 90 and
That's
her mother
so
was 88.
fucked.
They're telling this elderly couple who lost their daughter in the most gruesome manner.
And all they wanted is
sorry,
her
we lost her.
in her purse. That's all they're asking for.
And DNA samples.
And you couldn't even, wow.
It's so sad. Now, still to this day, no one has been charged for Barbara's murder other than Michael Thornton, who was acquitted.
Wow.
And even the prosecutor on the case later stated that there wasn't much evidence and admitted that what they did have was all circumstantial.
It was not going to get
It was
him.
it shouldn't have even gone to trial.
Wow. And it sucks that in 1817 or whatever it was,
They did a better job back then.
Well, the brother was able to just be no, don't like it. Do
Right?
it again. One more time, fellas. Everybody back to their places. And everybody did it again.
What is it? One more time with feeling?
Yeah, one more time with feeling, everyone.
Right.
But then you bring it up to 2000s here. And the sister's like, no, you didn't do your job. And they're like, oh, we lost everything.
2012.
Sorry.
And it's
bad.
like, do you know what you could have done with the DNA? Like, you could have absolutely, I mean...
You could have either proven that he is guilty, or you could have proven that he's not.
And, like, maybe put, like... I mean, she was raped. They may have had something and like put it through a system and found some other case that's connected to it and put the person away.
Oh, that's infuriating.
It's just so like, it's like, do your job.
Yeah.
Now, Erica later said of her sister, quote, Barbara had more about her than I did. She was more energy and drive. She should have been working that weekend, but for some reason she didn't. I think she enjoyed doing the work. She believed in helping the children. On the Sunday, the day before she disappeared, she went for a walk with Simon and talked about what she wanted at her funeral. We always felt that it was a strange remark for someone of her age.
Yeah.
Isn't that, like, they both had feelings.
Like weird feelings, like premonitions, something was going to go wrong.
And not only did Barbara say to someone, like, this is going to be a bad month, she also was telling her boyfriend what she wanted at her funeral.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, like, the day before anything happened.
That's weird.
So those are both of the cases. But just to review all the similarities, it's like the key to spot the difference.
Yeah.
Both murders happened either during or right after Whit Monday in Erdington, the same place, in the same park. Both Mary and Barbara were 20 years old.
Yep.
Some actually say that they had the same birthday. I was trying to find an obituary for Barbara and I couldn't find one. And none of the sources that I read said her birthday. And same thing with Mary. But some people say they have the same birthday.
That'd be crazy.
Their bodies were only found 300 feet apart. They both spent their last night dancing, and both suspects in each case had the last name Thornton, and both were acquitted.
That's so wild.
157 years apart.
That's so wild.
I was reading this one thing, and it was like very crazy and out there, but it was like, if people believe in like reincarnation, it's like, what if Mary Ashford like passed away and then came back as Barbara and like...
And passed away in the same way.
Right?
Wow.
Isn't that
Can
so
you
crazy?
imagine?
But it's like, it's so funny because it's not funny, but I was just watching Fear Street, the first one, and it's like the whole thing about like the witch and she like takes people with her and it's like a cursed town. I feel like there's some kind of curse at this park.
It feels that way.
And I want to go into it because along the way I was finding out that it's actually like associated with a couple of hauntings.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I think maybe like we might do like an addition to this episode and have it be all the spooky things associated with this park.
Ooh.
Right?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I love that. But I hate that.
Bananas.
That is bonkers.
157 years apart.
Yeah, that's really wild.
Like what?
What?
I'm sorry?
That's
Excuse me?
That's crazy.
And I love that it included a trial by combat.
Yeah, that really sold it.
Really crazy.
As far as I'm concerned.
I actually found this when I was doing the Melanie Etier case.
Yeah.
And you remember in that case how there was like another girl named Melanie Etier?
Yeah, that was strange.
I was like on this online forum and it was like, if you think that's crazy, looking at this case. And then I started doing it and I was like, we gotta cover that
I've never
on
heard of
Morbs.
this one.
That's
on
crazy.
Morbs.
On Morbs.
The Morbs.
The Morbs. So I hope you guys liked that
Wow,
one.
that was nuts.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
And you didn't know it.
No, I didn't.
I love that you
I did not know
it.
this.
It's very rare that I can get a case by Elena that she has not heard of before.
I really didn't know that one, so thank you for bringing it into my life.
You're welcome.
Well, do you want to shout out some Patronuses?
Yes, I think it's time for that.
I think it's time.
And look at you, I have the list up right here. It's like,
Heyo.
it's like we planned this.
It's almost like we planned this.
Did you know I was going to say that?
I did
Or
it.
did you know that you were going to say that?
I did not.
All right. Well, thank you to Janie Sweet for being such a sweet.
Janie Sweet, you're so sweet.
You're such a sweetie. And then I'd like to thank Zach Tackett.
Zach Tackett.
I love you.
I love that your name feels good. It's like Zach Tackett.
Zach Tackett.
I like it.
It sounds like dang flabbit.
It sure does.
You know, I don't know.
That's exactly what it feels like.
I would then like to thank Flex G for being such a G and flexing on us.
Flex G.
Flex G, get
Thank
it.
you.
Yes, I'm obsessed. Then we've got Stephanie B.
Stephanie B. I bet you get A's.
I bet you're an all-star.
In friendship.
in friendship. Then we've got Terry Jo Baker.
Terry Jo Baker.
I feel like you're just like the sweetest and you make really good cookies. And it's not just because your last name is Baker. Okay?
No, not that. She just feels it.
I feel like you're sweet.
But I feel like any like Joe Baker, like something Joe Baker always feels like, oh.
Yeah. And I love Joe for like a middle name or like a second name.
I love that.
So thanks. Thank you. And then we have Sam Laster.
Sam Laster, you've been lasting forever and we love you for it.
All my life.
All my life.
We then have Lisbeth Corrigan.
Lisbeth Corrigan, do you know that you have the same name as Lizzie Borden?
Lisbeth. I think the name Lisbeth is like really cool.
It's cool.
Like it's different.
in Corgan, like Billy Corgan.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I love it.
You're cool.
You're
Lisbeth.
killing it.
Thank you.
Next up is Natalie, either Cooler or Culler. Probably Culler.
How do you spell it?
Kuller.
Color?
Color?
Color.
Color.
Yeah.
Color me, Natalie. Then we have Jamie Mathis.
Jamie Mathis.
I'd like to thank you personally.
Thank you so much, Jamie Mathis.
We then have Hannah Box.
Hannah Box.
Don't ever put Hannah in a box.
Don't you dare put baby in a box. What's in the box?
What's in the box? And I think we'll do 2 more.
Ooh.
How about we finish this off with Robin Dix?
Robin Dix.
I love you.
You are pick up sticks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then last but certainly not least, thank you from the bottom of our hearts to Amanda Romero.
Amanda Romero. Are you related to the horror director?
Love ya, mean it.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you keep listening and we hope you
Keep
it
weird.
Why didn't I join?
you
I
say
literally don't know.
That was weird.
I kept it that weird that I didn't say it. Oh my
say
God.
it.
I don't know why I didn't say it.
She didn't join me. I just did
Redo.
it.
Keep
It
weird. But also where that you don't tune into your own show to say the thing that you've said for the past 3 years of your entire life. Wow.
That was so upsetting.
I don't know what happened.
If you like Morbid, you can listen early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.